Okay. Oh, shoot. Hello, everyone, welcome. I got another little mailbag here. Mailbag of today's topic: forgotten games for the 360. Now, one person asked, why am I really talking about a lot of old games when considering the subject matter? I do plan on doing a few more older system game things, probably more compilations of multiple things. At the time, I'm finding it a little easier, mainly because, for one, I have a lot of other top videos and stuff. Well, I've talked about a lot of the old games that I would actually talk about in this, so I kind of feel like I would just be rehashing stuff I've said kind of soon. So I'm kind of thinking I'll probably go over it again in the future, but I kind of want them to not feel like, I'm just going out and, hey, let's talk about this game again. No, a month later, hey, let's talk about this game. Know what I mean? So, anyway, I got 6 360 games that I feel have been pretty ignored. And, just to start off, I'm not putting Blue Dragon or Lost Odyssey on this list, mainly because I don't really feel they're forgotten. It might be some subjective to Blue Dragon because, as far as I understand, Blue Dragon didn't do very well in America. But I don't think they're forgotten, mainly because there aren't a lot of story-oriented Japanese RPGs on the 360. So, in the future, they'll probably be more forgotten. But I don't really consider them forgotten. But if you do, I would certainly put them on here. So, I'm not saying they're not worthy and everything. So right now I'm going to start on something, and I'm going to start right off bat that there is a director's cut version of this coming out on the PS3. So it's no longer going to be console exclusive to the 360. And when that comes out, I'll probably do a let's play of it, because that's why I stopped playing the 360 version. I've been waiting for the director's cut that was announced. Was Deadly Premonition. Wow. This game, you might, if you watch the Spoony one, you might actually be like, this sounds familiar. He did a few videos on it, and people have asked him to do a Let's Play on it, but he feels like, oh wait, tons of people have done a Let's Play. It's kind of a strange mash of survival horror games with Resident Evil 4, you could say. Like, it really captures that old survival horror while trying to be kinda in what modern survival horror is. So, it's very corny, it's very B-movie, and it's just fucking funny. I love it when Carol's being serious and they're whistling to plays, and it's like the B-movie of modern games, and it has such a cult following. But I still feel people don't talk about it a lot. Sure, the cult following talks about it a lot, but I don't think, and I'm really excited for the director's cut, because not only can that reach a new audience of people who don't have access to a 360, that can also potentially make it much more well-known. It's just something you really gotta experience. It's like, it's not perfect by far. There are all flaws. There are weird cueings of songs during inappropriate moments. There are awkward conversations sometimes. Very bizarre scenery and shit. Like, I never beat it, obviously, like I said. I stopped playing it when the director's cut of the PS3 version was announced quite a long time ago. I need to look up if they gave a new date for that. I'm really excited to get my hands on that. But that is something definitely to look up if you like survival horror and that. I mean, like, basically, you like a lot of old Silent Hill, Resident Evil shit, I would look it up. It's supposed to have a really twisted-ass story, too. And I also, I put it on one of my top 10 lists, but I talked about for a different reason, for its interaction. It also has a unique way of pulling the player in. The player is the subconscious person known as Zeke inside York's head. So York will be like, what do you think, Zeke? Yeah. It's like, you you have a role in the game. You're playing as not yourself per se. And like I said, I never beat it, so maybe there might be more to it. But I kind of felt it was an interesting way to, an interesting role to give you, in a way, because it's like York's talking to you. But anyway, and yeah, I am just randomly grabbing these out, not seeing them, so. So, here's one. Now, this one has became multi-platformer, but originally was a console exclusive to the 360, hopped to the PS3 with its DLC, and its sequel went to both consoles, and then it has spin-off on both the Nintendo Wii and the DS, but I'm still throwing Overlord on here. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid stuff that goes very multi-platformish. I'm saving those for more like their own kind of episode. But, well, I don't know how I could skip talking about Overlord. It's basically the medieval equivalent to Pikmin. And, in case you're wondering why Pikmin's damaged like hell, sadly, it was one of the victims during the great rainstorm of doom that we had here a long time ago. Well, it wasn't a rainstorm, it's a long story. Basically, a bunch of ice, tree fell on house, and, luckily, I didn't lose tons of stuff, but I did have some losses. And Pikmin, though, didn't survive in complete condition, sadly. But Overlord is the bastard child of Pikmin's concept. You are an evil Overlord with tons of minions that have different colors and powers. It's very Pikmin with a very mature theme, with blood and gore, crude humor, suggestive themes, use of alcohol, and violence. Lots of violence. Really, if you thought Pikmin was all cutesy and everything, this is your game to try if you wanted to try that kind of gameplay. Really, it's very reminiscent of it. I really feel like not a lot of people talk about Overlord. When it first came out, a lot of people did, but it just kind of just faded away and then. So, I really do think it's a bit of a forgotten game. Definitely worth checking out. I would recommend, though, getting the PS3 version, because you get all the DLC, which was expanded story of the 360 version. You could never got that as a physical version. So, if you're a very physical junkie like me as a collector, I recommend the PS3 version for all the DLC on disc. But, if 360 is the only option, well, that's what you get. Definitely worth checking out, in my opinion. Very fun. Crude humor indeed, though. So, let's see. This time I'm going to actually peek in here. Okay, this one is what I want to talk about next. I've also featured this in another video before. Probably one of the few first-person shooters I really liked. Darkest of Days. Definitely a game I think is deserving to be on here. While, of course, it's... well, some people think it's an awful game. And, you know, it's not perfect. But Darkest Day features a very interesting story campaign. There's no multiplayer and shit like that in the game. So it's very story-oriented. Basically, you are a guy from General Custer's army who gets saved from dying by a bunch of time travelers, and you become a basically a time traveler who tries to preserve time, and this group's trying to fuck with time, and you're trying to keep history, and there's all kinds of strange and bizarre scenes. There's one particular scenario I love, because you basically get abandoned in a particular time period with that time period's weapons, and the enemy gave the opposite military force better weapons than that time period. And I don't want to go into much detail, but that was a very awesome scene in my opinion. Darkest Days is cheap as hell as the last time I ever saw it, which is a shame because the ending really left it with a cliffhanger. And though I didn't like the ending, I did really enjoy most of my experience with this game. Definitely worth checking out if you are looking for a very interesting story-oriented first-person shooter. Definitely, basically, if you're very anti-Call of Duty and shit, I would check that out. That would probably be more your thing, probably. And here I am cheating again. Here we go. This game, I really liked this game, because I really liked it. Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and if you haven't already guessed what the game is, It's Monster Madness Battle for Suburbia. Suburbia. This game's awesome because it has local full-player co-op. It does not have online co-op. This game did eventually hop to the PS3 with basically no success as far as I understand. This game was, when it came out, it was the... You know, like, every year this game, everyone has to fucking bash into the ground for some reason. And, I'd hate to compare it to it, but it basically had the same effect. This was the Duke Nukem Forever of its year. Every fucking person and their mom beated the living shit out of this game. And while I haven't played Duke Nukem Forever, so I can't really comment on that stream of hatred, I have to call a lot of bullshit on the people who hate this game. Yes, it's hard if you play on really fucking hard. And it does really, like, if you're not playing one of the really easy modes, it does really encourage you to have your friends. This is a game, grab your friends, get a control, sit down, everyone, fight for the battle of your life! But basically, if you don't know what the hell Zombies Ate Your Neighbors is, this game features basically a top-down perspective. It's very arcade-ish where you get different guns and shit, shooting zombies and undead and all kinds of tons of fucking types of enemies. Like, endless streams of types of enemies to take. Martians, aliens, zombies. Just ridiculous amount of shit coming to kill you. Tons of bosses. This is a really long game. I played this with Aaron, and it's a really long game. This game is cheap as fuck the last time I ever saw it. I bought brand new when it came out. I had no problem. Sadly, the game did feature, again, this very similar fate of Duke Nukem, of its price point dropping like within only like 2 months for that. This game became $10 at Walmart, basically, within only a few months. And that's a real shame. It's really sad the development team that made this is probably closed. I don't know, to be honest. I've been waiting to look them up recently when I last talked about this game. But basically, if you got a bunch of friends, sit down and play. Now, supposedly the PS3 version has online co-op through the story, where the 360 version only had a deathmatch survival mode kind of thing. So, but both of them feature local co-op, and there's always people, I see you on YouTube, there's always people bitching, there's not games with local co-op. There you go, have fun. Full player local co-op. Go pick it up. I'm sure it's still incredibly cheap. Anyway, going on. Here's a game that introduced me to the delightful hilarity of Sandlot, or 3D Publisher, who would publish so many bizarre, cheap games for the PS2. Sandlot is the notorious creators of the Earth Defense Force series. This was the first one to come to America, 2017, which is, if I remember correctly, the third entry in the main series, not counting the weird tactical spin-offs and the PSP titles and that. I love this game. It's hilarious. Now, the newest one that came out, which was the Insect Armageddon. Oh, where are you, Insect Armageddon? I know you're somewhere around here. Where the hell are you? So many things. So it was yeah, it was Insect Armageddon. That was multi-platform, but this one was a 360 exclusive, and that one was not made by Sandlot. And the only idea I liked in it was the fact that they kind of had a job system, which the only Earth Defense Force game that at the time I remember that had that was the second one on the PS2. To my understanding, one of the newest PSP ones is supposed to bring back the flying class from that. This game is B-movie material. Well, the story's nothing thrilling. It's just awesome being this little guy with giant robots. I mean, look at this picture. Just giant robots, spiders, ants, spaceships. The physics are hilarious. I always remember this moment where, like, well, in the one mission, shooting tons of ants, and Aaron loves the sniper guns. They fuck with the physics so much. Like, so he's like sniping ants, and he's like shooting them across the map. I'm like, yeah, beach shooting shit. I'm like, it's waiting ants! Wait, these are dead. Like, it's like, yeah, I'm shooting them. I'm like, what the fuck is this, dodgeball? It's like, yoo-hoo! It's hilarious. It has split screen, so it's great to play with a friend. Highly recommended with a friend. Highly recommended. By yourself, probably a little more boring. I still enjoyed it both by myself and with a friend. I played the entire campaign almost in its entirety with Aaron until more of the end stuff will... Well, he didn't want to play anymore, so I finished the end, obviously. But, yep. That one I highly recommend for lots of amusement. Very forgotten, in my opinion. The Eternal Defense Force series. I mean, Insect Arm again brought a little interest again, but then it just quickly got forgotten itself. Now, here's, like, the only real, like, RPG I have on here. Like, Overlord's, like, the only other thing that's just slightly reminiscent of RPG-ness. Eternal Sonata. Eternal Sonata was bashed a lot when it came out. And admittedly, it's not my favorite RPG in the universe. But I still like a lot of stuff in the game. Though, at the same time, there's stuff in it that I hate. If you never heard of it, you play as Frédéric Chopin. And if you don't know who that is, he's a famous pianist. He died of a incurable disease in his day. It was some kind of throat disease or something like that, which is curable now, but it was incurable in his days, and he died of it. And this is basically about him on his deathbed, and he has some weird dream, which is the world of this game. And the thing that I didn't really like about the game was the fact that it focused more on the world instead of like the kind of life and death situation he was in. But in the end, I still enjoyed the game. It had a few refreshing, interesting aspects, while at the same time some annoyances. But it's a mixed feeling game, admittedly. But I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you're looking for something a little different gameplay-wise. It is very buttony. Like, you know the aspect, like in Mother 3, for example, like you're encouraged to tap the button for extra damage. But that's more optional, like in Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, where you could do or take less damages with proper button pressing, but it's not forced upon you. Well, it's really forced upon you in this to defend against damage and stuff, especially much later in the game. Like, early in the game, not so much, but from like 25% to the end, it's much more encouraged and life-threatening if you don't do it. So, it's an interesting game. It's probably the iffy one of this list. Everything else I definitely encourage, though. That one I encourage if you're looking for something a little different. I really did enjoy it, but like I said, there were also some things that annoyed me a little bit. But in the end, I really liked it. That one also became multi-platform, and is available on the PS. You know, that I think about, I think I kind of just fucked that up on this video. It's like, how many did I have? I had this one, and this one, and this one, and this one. These are all way available on the PS3, and then this one's going to be available on the PS3. So, and then Darkest of Days, if you want to argue, is available on the PC. So the only truly console exclusive thing here is the old Defense Force game. So I guess maybe I kind of screwed up. Hey, I said try, no 100% guarantees. I said I would try. Oh, come on, it's the 360. Is it funny or that was easier to do this for the original Xbox? That actually had shit that stayed exclusive. A lot of games kind of jumped ship. Like, pretty much this generation, nobody wanted to stay exclusive. If anything, the most they could have gotten was time exclusives with a lot of games. So I guess maybe I should have included Blue Dragon Last Story, Lost Odyssey. Well, not Last Story. So let's go ahead and just do that. Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey. Get those two. They're awesome RPGs. Blue Dragon's a lot more classical job-based, while Lost Odyssey is more profound. Actually, that's kind of an interesting way to look at them. Blue Dragon allows you to customize and change jobs, while Lost Odyssey has everyone focused all the way on a job role. Never really thought about that. But I guess that's a subject for another day. So, those are some games that I feel have fallen to the wayside when it comes to the 360 or the PS3 versions. Maybe I should call this 360/PS3. But anyway, those are some of my choices there. If you have any suggestions for what console you'd like to see next to that, I mean, if people want me to do some of the older ones, sure, encourage me to. I just don't want to feel like I'm like, oh, look, here's these NES or Super Nintendo games I've already talked about in much bigger depth than that, or equal depth. I don't know. But anyway, I hope you check some of those out. Let me know what you think of them, or if you have any choices that you think I may not know of. Nobody knows everything, and I always learn something new at some point in time. So anyway, adieu, dear viewer, and I'll see you next time, hopefully sometime in the future.